Good.
All right, welcome to Coffee Hour, everybody. We're here with Zoe and Karen, rocking away on a Tuesday morning.
Yay.
Yay! And we were just talking about something that was interesting off camera, in regards to the conversation started around ghosting. So we're talking about testimonials and reaching out to old clients and how I was getting ghosted by a couple clients that we had a great relationship with, and I got and my clients saw great results. So, you know,
Mhm.
what gives? And it's just we were talking about how it's kind of a major theme these days. And
Mhm.
not even just with young people, like with middle-aged people that are trying to run businesses and they're ghosting
Mhm.
potential clients or colleagues and collaborators. It's just, it seems strange to me. But um, Karen said something that made me think of something really important in regards to this about how, as health practitioners and coaches, people in the healing space, we tend to be, I'm including all of us in this discussion, and even most of the people in this community are healers in some way. Um, we tend to be a higher proportion of highly sensitive people. Do you guys know what HSPs are? Have you heard about that? Yeah. So,
Yes.
yeah, a highly sensitive person.
However, Brandon, can you expound upon that?
Absolutely, yeah. An HSP or highly sensitive person, I don't know if they still call them that, but they have been calling them that for 20 years or so, is someone who actually has a little bit different wiring in their brain. It's
Mhm.
15 to 20% of the population. And these folks have higher levels of empathy just naturally, and they take in a lot more sensory information. So the downside of that, like on the one side, that's like a superpower. You can sense what people are feeling and you can kind of get in tune with that, which makes a healing profession really, kind of a no-brainer because you're going to be, if this is tuned correctly, you're going to be pretty good at it, like sensing people, knowing what they're feeling and what to do, that kind of stuff. That's great. That's a superpower. On the other end, though, if it's not regulated properly, it leads to sensory overwhelm, sensory mismatch issues, and just like too much coming at you. So that can lead to pain, anxiety, all sorts of stuff. So we want to know how to regulate ourselves. Inhibition tools are great for highly sensitive people, by the way.
Mhm.
Um, but anyway, when we're dysregulated, especially, and we haven't kind of tuned this sense of empathy in order, on the one hand, like setting boundaries, hard boundaries with other people, so you don't take on too much of them and they don't pull from you. And that's kind of what Karen was talking about is as that type of person, we're going to be attracting a lot of people to us that we can help and a lot of manipulators as well. Energy vampires is the word that I use
Good word.
because they want to steal your energy. Yeah.
Yes.
They want to
Yes.
suck the energy out of you.
Mhm.
In
Yeah.
my profession, I've got a
Mhm.
lot of clients like this, and
Mhm.
it's incredibly frustrating and draining, right? Where, after an hour session, I remember this one young girl, she was 18 years old, and she really wanted to look good, but she didn't want to do any of the work. And everything was everybody else's fault. And she just complained the whole time. And I tried so hard to help this girl that it
Mhm.
almost drove me insane
Mhm.
to the point where I actually had to fire her.
Good.
Yeah, and just
A
it was
customer.
it was a, it was the, one of the yeah, it was one of the first people I ever had to fire. Client. And so it was really hard for me to do that first thing. It
Mhm.
seemed so foreign to me. But what made me able to do it was this reframing from it's not my fault that I couldn't get her results, but I actually need to fire her to wake her up so that she can change.
Mhm.
That was kind of what I told myself, and I still believe that's true with a lot of these type of people. The problem is that then she just went straight to somebody else that's going to placate her and feed into her kind of victim mentality, and then
Mhm.
she can suck the energy out of that person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that tends to happen, but you know what? There's nothing more that I can do, right? Can't have her just sucking my energy all the time because that affects all my other clients,
Yes, it
as well as
does.
myself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Holy schmolies.
I
Kate
miss you
Hughes is in the
guys.
house, everybody.
I miss you
Hey,
guys.
Kate.
I
Great to
miss
see you.
you.
Great to
So
see you.
great
Y'all
to
will
see
notice
you.
that my background has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We bought a new house. It's 17 stories, 78,000 square feet. There's 15 pools and 87 bathrooms. It's great.
Okay.
All right, we're all moving in, Bill.
Yeah, come
Let's
on
go.
down. We call
I'll
it the
take the east
Neuroflow
wing, right?
Ashram. No, I just you ever I used to do this once a month when I lived with my parents because it's like your space. You want to make it yours. But every month I would need like a refresh.
Oh.
So I would just move all the furniture around, feng shui it a little differently,
Hmm.
and it would feel really good. And that happened to me yesterday. I don't know what it was, but I got a wild hair. I was like, I gotta move. Everything's gotta shift.
Good.
And it is good because now I have this window that's right in my face instead of off to the side. Already is making a big difference.
Good.
My energy. So,
Okay.
Good.
should have
And
done it months ago.
It's all about lighting when you're on camera.
It is, and I don't have any lights on actually. Well, one in the corner, but this is all just sunlight,
Nice.
which is really nice. Makes it easy. Because I do have some studio lights in here, but they get a little intense. Anyway, Kate, we were just talking about something that was actually like perfect for you.
Oh, what's that? Which, by the way,
Yeah.
Zoe, I've
Yes.
never met your sister, but I've heard a lot about you, sister. So hi.
Hi.
Yes, Kate.
I love your voice.
Oh, thank you. No
Okay.
one has actually ever said that to me. Quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I
Really?
love, yeah. I
Yeah, you
think
got a great Zoom voice. It's great.
Ah, look
Dude,
at that.
there you
Well, it's
go.
very nice to see you and officially meet you.
Yeah.
thank you.
And I love Kate.
Kate is great.
Yes.
So
Okay.
what were you guys chatting about? Fill me in.
Yeah,
Oh,
we were talking.
and with me just saying that I love you kind of is in harmony with this conversation because it could be weird.
Even better. Sign me up. I'm glad I came on today. It was
Yeah,
destiny.
no problems with getting weird around here. That's fine. We were talking about highly sensitive people, empaths, they're sometimes called, and how on one hand is a superpower, right? You get to be able to, you can sense other people's feelings and emotions really well. You can process a lot more information when it's working well, but that can also lead to big time sensory overwhelm. It can lead to becoming victim to energy vampires, which is what we were just talking about. And how, as healers, which I think all of us are, definitely on this call, but even in this community, how we are much more vulnerable, especially when we're dysregulated, to these energy vampires. That people just want to, usually what happens is they manipulate. Most of the time it's benign or benevolent manipulation. Like they're not intentionally trying to hurt anyone. It's just how they're wired and how their defense mechanism, right? But I was telling a story about this young client of mine who just wanted to get in shape but didn't want to do the work. And she just complained and complained and complained and blamed everybody else for all of her problems. And she was 18 and I was a young first personal training, one of my first clients. And so I did everything in my power and worked myself to the bone trying to help this girl until eventually I just got so frustrated and fed up I didn't lose it on her, but I almost did. But I fired her. And it was like, for everybody's sake, you got to go away. Can't deal with this anymore. Which was on me. Like, I didn't set boundaries from the very beginning and set expectations. So that's my fault. And I let her suck the energy out of me. And it affected everybody else in my life. So it was hard to do that, but I've fired multiple people since then. No problem. It's fine. But all that comes back to like my understanding of how my own brain works, my own nervous system, and how I take in a lot more than most people. And I've been dysregulated for a long time. And that led to, well, it led to a lot of things. It led to numbing, a lot of numbing in any way that I could. And it was usually drugs and alcohol, or flow states. Okay. Like the dark side of flow. You guys familiar with that? Have we ever talked about that? Flow states are incredibly powerful and addictive. And while on the one hand, they're the greatest thing the human brain can do, the greatest chemical cocktail we can have, like the greatest feeling on earth, gives our life meaning and purpose. That's all true. But it also can just suck your soul. If you find flow in gambling or video games, and you just do nothing but those things, right? That could lead to problems. I did all those wrong.
My sister has that.
As a gambling addiction?
No,
What?
a gambling addiction.
Oh,
She draws people.
Oh, cool. Love that. An artist. Beautiful.
it's
I wouldn't,
it's always been like that.
but it's not, is it negative? Is it causing problems in your life?
As long as I control it, it's wonderful.
Okay, yeah.
When I
That's-
don't control it, I remember as a younger woman, I used to say, I want to know everyone on the face of the earth. So that's
Okay.
kind of crazy, right? You want to know everybody. But I thought like that. And then I think somewhere in my late 30s, I realized I think I know enough people.
Okay.
So I started processing things and people differently. But I don't have an issue with it. I just have, my sister keeps encouraging me, but I have learned I have to manage people.
Yeah.
Because they will manage me if I don't
Yeah.
manage them, and they don't
Exactly.
mean anything by it. They're just, as you mentioned, they see a place that they feel is a safe place where they can come and bring whatever, and you can process whatever only so much in your life, depending on what's going on. And so I have people that I may talk to once a month, I might talk to once every week, I might talk to once a year. I mean, I've had to process people. And that's kept me safe, because I care about everybody, but I'm just a human being.
Exactly.
That's
Good for
it.
you.
I don't think it's so much a special power for me. It's just who I have been.
It is a
Yeah.
special power.
Well, I mean, it's just how I've been all my life, so it's normal to me.
Right. And it's one of those invisible skills.
Mhm.
Most people don't have that, but you've had it forever, so you don't think anything of it. Yeah, but it's a really powerful skill. Those are important skills that we don't give enough credit to ourselves for, right? Because they're just second nature. But a lot of people don't have that. So yeah, you want to highlight it, you want to celebrate it, and you want to also protect it. So you got to protect your energy and set good boundaries like you've done. So good work.
Thank you.
Yeah. Kate, what's new in your life? Haven't seen you in a while.
Hmm.
All right, that's a heavy question. It's like there's a lot there.
Well, actually, a lot of it ties into this.
Yeah, good.
I've been on a years-long quest of trying to get rid of the energy vampires and figure out how to keep some of my resources, because I probably get that dopamine rush I'm realizing in jumping in and helping other people.
For sure.
and being the fixer. And boy, is that a commingled
Yes,
mess, right?
it
So
can be for sure.
when
Yeah.
you start trying to take your energy back for you,
Mm,
but your worth is tied into this, and your where you get your hits really is from helping other people. It's like, wow, those things are really in conflict. I don't know what the hell to do about that.
I know what to do.
Hit me.
Go help strangers.
Ah,
I know. Seems so simple. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, separate your personal connection with that other person. Just sever it completely. Not like actually, you could do that with some people and you'll have to, I'm sure. But holy, it must be summer. Joe's looking clean. Woo! Look good, dude. You got a good looking bald head. Not everybody can pull that off.
Wow.
Right on.
He's messing with us. It's one of those bald caps. I can only see him tiny in the corner. He has to say something so I can see him bigger. He's messing with us right now.
I'm
20 bucks.
No,
I am not messing with you. It is bald.
It looks good.
it must be hot, right?
But
Not yet.
Kate,
I came back and it cooled off. Taking the new dolphin vibe into the
yeah,
let's
there you go.
move that energy and come back with some new.
Yeah, that water just much more slick out in that
I
ocean.
didn't know you were going for like Olympic swimmer vibes here, Joe.
Good stuff.
I didn't shave it until I came back.
Kate, just to finish that thought, like if you want to still get that helper's high and that dopamine fix that you need, by the way, you can't just cut off your one source of like feeling good. Not saying that it is the only source, but you know what I mean. Go help a stranger, like the homeless guy on the corner, and bring him some lunch. You know, you'll still get that dopamine fix, and there is nothing, no more expectation, right? And that will actually allow you a little bit of space. Like, I did my good deeds. I helped the human race. I left things better than I found them. You, energy vampire, now I've got the confidence to set the solid boundary and take my energy back because I actually got some left over from that awesome deed I just did. That's gonna give you a lot more power in that situation.
Ironically, I have been tossing around the concept of really taking this work into kind of survivors of narcissistic abuse, and
Amazing.
because so much of that is in our bodies, right? Some of what you were talking about being an empath and feeling other people's feelings can be really a survival method baked in since childhood because we needed to be super vigilant of people's emotions and moods
Yeah.
to keep our environment safe. So very timely conversation because it's definitely something I've been kicking down the road a little bit that I didn't necessarily see the direction, but it's kind of screaming at me.
Good. Yeah, there is no coincidences.
Hey, I can totally relate to that from the sense of the more times that I listen to each training and getting into the language of where Matt will talk about brain symptoms, and then it's like the language, and then it's like, oh, I do that. Like I have that language, and oh, I see where that's a brain symptom of, oh, okay, like all the stuff that happened to me as a kid. Now it makes sense that chose all of these different behaviors, but the entire time now I'm just realizing my nervous system was seeking safety to become a people pleaser. Right. And then I've even had to realize that the people that I might view as a narcissist, they're a narcissist because at some level they don't feel safe, and their nervous system protects them by making them want to control and be self-centered about who they are. And it's like this weird dynamic where it's like, wow, nervous systems are just at play.
Yeah, it's all a reciprocal relationship, 100%. And highly sensitive people, empaths, are much more vulnerable to narcissistic manipulation. Benevolent or malicious or malevolent. Either way, we're more vulnerable to it. And so we tend to attract that more often. The narcissist globs onto it because it's easy access to what they need, which is constant validation and energy. Right?
Supply. You were great at that.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, it can develop like you I don't know
And
this.
Brandon, that gets into the flow cycles then, like the emotions that each person's going to seek, like you talking about the dopamine when I first jumped on.
Well, yeah, it can.
Right?
Like
I mean,
if
it's going to be different hormones.
yes, somewhat, maybe in different amounts. Like I would imagine the narcissist. So I'm totally going into conjecture right now. This is all, we're just guessing. I'm just guessing at this point. But I could imagine that a narcissist may require more oxytocin and dopamine than some regulated folks. And so that's why they seek it much more often and kind of pull it from people because they have conditioned themselves to need more of it. That could totally be true. And on the other side, the HSP maybe just, they get their rush, their flow state from helping, or at least the perception that they're helping someone else. Okay. So then that creates this dichotomy and this collaboration, maladaptive collaborative relationship where they're feeding off each other. And that's codependency. Right. And so I think that pair, right, the narcissist and the empath is probably a pretty common pair. So, Kate, what I'm saying is, I think you're going to be full of work. You have plenty to do because there's a lot of it going on out there.
I'm going to drop this in the chat if anybody's interested or if you haven't listened to it. But Matt on Trauma Rewired, where they get into the narcissist and the empath and the science behind narcissism. If you haven't listened to that, that's a great one.
Yeah, I've actually never listened to their podcast. Don't tell them. Don't tell them.
We have to
They'll be
fix
mad
them.
at me.
I don't have to tell them. It's on the recording.
Never met any of them. But
well, you can listen to
they're
Matt
great.
nerd out on the
Awesome.
science of narcissism.
So there's an app which I posted in Brandon's group, Fountain, when I said, hey, here's where you can listen to episodes of Brandon on his podcast.
Oh, yeah.
School.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to give another plug for Fountain right now, because one of my favorite things, since we're all little neuro people here, is when you listen to podcasts on Fountain, you can like pull clips and you can edit the clips to then be able to share like an insight that you like. So Trauma Rewired is
I'm wondering how people do that all over the internet.
Fountain is the one way that I know how to do it on like Nostr, which is the blockchain, which is like the free social media way of doing it. And they pay you Bitcoin for listening to podcasts for the first time. But I like it how I love listening to like the Trauma Rewired or your podcast, and then just being able to like grab different clips where it's like, oh, I want to be able to share that thing with somebody. So
put it in the chat. Let me look at it today, because that's something that people do all over for social media, right? Is they just take clips from other people's videos, and I don't know how they do it, and I have just been too lazy to go figure it out.
That's the only way that I've learned how to do it. I know people aren't just using that, so I'm right there in the curious box with you. But since I figured out how to do it this way, and it involves the blockchain and Bitcoin, I'm all about it.
Right on. All right, I'll check it out. I'll check it out. Well, Kate,
Put it in the chat.
he did the second one there, fountain.fm. Kate, I'm stoked on your your idea, the clarity that's starting to come through in all of this. This is really cool.
Well, if I'm an expert at anything,
It's
I
dealing
am
with
a
narcissists.
45-year expert at narcissistic relationships
All right.
and
Well,
how to regain yourself. Still in progress. So yeah, I might not have a college degree, but I have a life master's
yeah,
degree
who
at this
cares?
point.
Yeah, you're chasing mastery. I don't have college degrees in any of the things I teach right now. So, you know, not one.
Shamanism.
I have master's degrees in body movement and rehab. But it's like I use a fair amount of it, but mostly everything is neuro and flow related, which I didn't learn about any of that in college or university or my master's degree. So, you know, there's a shoot. I think Mark Twain has a really good quote about like higher education and learning and how they are not synonymous. I don't remember what it is now, but that should never stop you because your life experience is way more powerful than a 4-year degree. Yeah. And you probably know, I guarantee you know, you've forgotten more than most kids would learn in a 4-year degree in those subjects that you've had that lived experience in. So go get them.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I think this is a wonderful conversation because I may not be considered a therapist or whatever, but the point I want to make is that today there's a generation of, there's more children being created that are going to be narcissistic. It's just what's happening. And I look around and I see parents, and we love children, all of us do. And I see parents and they make their child the center of the world. And so when everyone walks in the room, they clap and it's an exciting show. And that's wonderful, but it's the balance of it. So when little Johnny goes out into an environment in the public, little Johnny wonders, well, why isn't everybody looking at me and clapping? I'm used to everybody looking at me and clapping and saying I'm the greatest. Then now these people have to process themselves because it's good to spoil children. It's a healthy way to do it. But we have all these imbalanced people raising children and they're off the chart and the kids have no choice. So I just think that learning how to protect yourself is just so important in this journey. I'm 70 years old. So, like I said, when I was in my 30s, I wanted to know everyone. But now it's like I love people. I always will. But I have learned that I do have to, when I see what I'm looking at, I pay attention to it because I usually am right with when I meet a person who they are. And I'm not accurate all the time, but I can tell who wants to be that vampire.
Yeah.
And so professionally, I used to always say I feel bad for therapists because I know some people who go to therapy and I know I can't deal with them often. I could deal with them maybe 30 minutes, an hour, but I could not deal with them saying the same thing over and over and over and taking so much of your time, even if they're paying you. It's just,
Yeah.
and I used to say you guys must put plugs in your ears or something because you know what they're going to say. They're going to
Tricks
say,
of the trade.
gonna
Tricks
say
of the trade. Yeah.
so is there a way that y'all could put earplugs in? I mean, what do y'all do? How do you do it? That's all I'm just saying.
I know.
Well, we're not really therapists.
Not talk
So I'm
therapy.
more
I mean,
likely to be
sometimes.
blunt right back and be like, you realize you told me that story 3 times now? But that's me. It's a little spiritual Tourette's.
Good.
I found the Mark Twain quote, I have never let my schooling interfere with my education.
Good.
Exactly. Thanks so. Yeah, so good. That is the truth. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I wear earplugs all the time with lots of people. Just gotta regulate sometimes.
Yeah.
Not
We-
both, just one usually. It's fine. I can hear you out of one ear. But that's all I can handle right now. One ear.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't need to
You don't
get
get
a salt,
both.
double salt.
You don't get both ears. And in fact, you get the one that doesn't work as well.
Good.
Cool. Welcome, Sandra. I don't know if you can hear us.
Hello, I can hear you.
Hey, hey.
Hey,
Um,
good to be here.
yes, the gang's all back together.
Yeah. We also were talking to use the language ghosting, Brandon.
Yeah, we were talking about ghosting earlier. Sometimes it's necessary.
Oh.
It's a big problem in general with like, businesses and just random people, like friends ghosting you for months at a time. It's like, what is going on? But the practice has its utility. I mentioned it before we started recording, but I've had a stalker for 10 years. And she's a little bit mentally ill. And yeah, we had one meeting in the physical therapy clinic I worked at. And then it was just nonstop texting, calling, emails for months. In that case, I ghosted her. I responded to her first text message and was very direct and clear. And it didn't matter. So she just kept at it for years. And I just never responded to anything. I ended up getting a restraining order and all sorts of other stuff. But, it is, I mean, that's like there's people like that out there, yeah, I don't mind if it's on the recording. Thanks, Kate, for looking out. I thought about it briefly, but I'm not gonna mention her name. Whatever. It's a part of life. Like, she obviously has mental health issues, and I don't mind talking about it because there are people out there. So as empaths or highly sensitive people, or what's the awesome term that we came up for neurodivergence or neuroatypical? Abundant, neuro-abundant. Love that term for
Like
people on the spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
as they're sometimes called. They have way more connections. They take in way more sensory information, right? And that's kind of an issue. And that's what this is. Like, all of us that are highly sensitive people, these days, we might just be considered a little bit on the spectrum. That would not be a far-flung diagnosis these days.
Not at all.
Interesting, right? But let's normalize the term neuro-abundant. Because that's what's really going on. And that's, in a small way, what's happening with a highly sensitive person. Their brain is just taking in so much more information that dysregulated, it becomes overwhelming really fast. So that neuroabundance, superpower, also kryptonite.
And
I mean, that's
Karen has recently found that the colored glasses help.
Yeah, I love them.
You like green especially?
Well,
She
no,
does.
the orange and the red. I haven't
Okay.
used those.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
green actually just turns down all the dials of brain activation, which in this context would be great if you got sensory overwhelm and you're just taking in way more information that it becomes too much. The green is really helpful. Pink also, rose-colored glasses.
Mm.
Those are also helpful for just chilling out, calming down.
Mhm.
So great, but all of the colored lenses are inhibiting some kind of color wavelength getting in. So it's turning down something. So it's great. Another inhibition tool. That, the earplug, sometimes a hat, pinhole glasses. You could do occlusion glasses with some tape on the lenses. Those all help turn things down. Ab belt can be helpful. Sometimes compression clothing is helpful. Yeah.
Sometimes women overdo the compression clothing.
True. That's true. That's true. Yoga pants and cat suits. I'm thinking of
Yes.
I'm thinking of the Batman movies. Especially the one with was it Nicole Kidman? That was Catwoman.
It's
She had
just
like
been,
the
it's just been
super tight latex cat suit. She looked great. I don't know how she moved in that thing, but she looked great.
it's been interesting working with moms and finding that they like wear something all the day, every day, all the time.
Yeah.
Once I suggest, well, potentially maybe we could get an ab belt, and this is why. And they're like, why wear this? And then it's like, oh, maybe you're not getting enough fuel, and maybe you're overwearing that.
Yeah. That's great. That's good thought.
Tactful,
Is it what?
tactful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, that is very true. I could see that happening. I've seen that happening. I am seeing that happening. Lots of new moms around me, so
Sure.
seeing all sorts of stuff. So what else is new? What's going on? Sandra, how you doing? You just joined us. What's new?
Hanging in there, still
Okay.
dealing with my stuff. So
Okay. We finding
good to
anything
come here.
helping? Making any progress anywhere?
No,
Okay.
so
Frustrating.
yeah,
Yeah.
just trying to be present with that and
Hmm.
not think too far into the future. Just try to be with
Mm.
the moment right now.
Okay.
Thanks for asking. Yeah, I've talked
You're
about it
welcome.
a lot, so I don't, have a lot to say right now. But
Sure. If anything comes up question-wise or otherwise, let us know. If you need some
thank you.
advice, some help, some ideas,
Thank you.
we got your back. You're welcome.
Well, just being here feels really good.
Good.
I'll say I was at a training for something else, and someone did a somatic experience.
Hmm.
And I was thinking about the difference because they talked about sometimes just it's okay to let yourself be dysregulated. It was an interesting conversation with regard to that. And it was also like they spent a lot of time at the beginning talking about, and this is like I'm seeing certain communities develop this way, about giving a lot of warnings beforehand about trigger type things.
Yeah.
And I this is when I start feeling older from a different generation, because that's not I just get kind of bored with that.
The trigger
Or
warnings. Yeah.
but the discussion about it. So I'm
Right.
just sharing that it seems to be a somewhat generational difference, but also definitely culturally difference where people are located too, and what their focus is.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
it does make me think about the difference between, I think Matt mentioned a little bit once, like what is somatic experiencing and the somatic ways versus kind of the stuff that we're doing, or even that the NSI is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely hear you on the discussion around like trigger warnings and stuff. It's getting a little out of hand, I feel like, and maybe that's me showing my age, right? But also, when I go back to Montana, you really don't hear a lot of talk about this.
Yeah.
I think it seems to be more in urban areas, especially around universities.
Trigger what?
Trigger warnings, like getting into a subject like empaths and narcissists, but having to spend 10 minutes beforehand laying out all of the ways that a young person might be triggered and
Mhm.
have adverse feelings, and that we have to warn them and protect them from those things. The extreme end of this is like at universities and stuff, not allowing speakers to come in because they could create negative feelings in students, and it's not healthy for their mental health. And so they
Oh.
stop people from speaking or expressing opinions that people just don't like, right? That's like the extreme end, but now it's like it's starting to kind of creep into everything. And it really, in my mind, it only started around the like pandemic.
Mhm. Crazy.
Really kicked up a lot. Kate, did you have something to add or a question or something?
I'll add the irony part of it. So, as most of you on this call know about my brother committing suicide, and just even having it be a trigger warning is like, how trauma informed is that trauma informed statement?
Yeah.
Right? And layers of things that I never thought of before being in some of these situations where there's a lot of, anything could be a trigger warning. Anything is a trigger. We
Yeah.
know about neurotags. I mean,
Exactly.
yes, there's an appropriate time if we're talking about some things. I mean, what I just said should have had a trigger warning, or a better name for that, right? But anything can be for anyone at any point in time. That's
Exactly.
really where we're kind of missing the boat on trauma informed in conversations.
Yes.
Helping people understand how to regulate around that rather than trying to sanitize the whole world, because we'd have to stop talking. Really.
Right. That's the only eventual outcome, is that our speech becomes so throttled, so
Guarded.
guarded and regulated that there becomes like an approved list of words that we can use, right? It becomes very Orwellian, really.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech starts to be whittled down to something that is not free. That's the danger. And you're right, Kate, like everybody's neurotags are different. They're fingerprints.
That's a
No
really
two
good point.
neurotags are the same. So what might trigger one person might not trigger another person. And just the idea of putting a trigger warning in place, like for everybody out there, I need to let you know that I'm going to start talking about a very gruesome uh home birth that went wrong.
Mm.
And just mentioning that to anybody that gets triggered by something like that, they're like, "Oh God, now they're triggered."
Right.
Yeah, the warning triggered them. So,
Mhm.
do we just continue on now? Like, now we've gotten that out of the way, right?
Mm.
And that's what goes through my mind when I think about these things. Um, but regardless, like the whole idea of it is, to me, it's very scary and very dangerous when you start to restrict speech like that.
Well, I wonder how it's going to run its course, and how
Yeah.
it's also creating separation between people, because there's a certain kind of self-righteousness that both extremes, like in the political realm, have, that is violent, even if it's not physical violence, but there's a self-righteousness that is violent. And they have a little bit different flavors, I think. Like in the progressive realm, it's to help people and feel better and all that, and help us feel safe and protected. But at the same time, it's creating these boundaries that I think maybe some of the people espousing them feel safe and protected, but the people they're trying to it doesn't work for everybody. Is what I'm trying to say, with what the intention is. And it seems like sometimes the way of doing it is then to try to put more and more in place,
Right.
like to perfect it, because we've already decided this is the right path, so now we have to perfect it, where maybe that path is a little askew. That's
Right.
what I was just experiencing in this previous session I was in. And I just was thinking about the neuro feeling of that, or the neural responses to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. The way you described it of what's happening. And it does happen at the extremes on both ends. Right. And that's mostly who we hear from, because they're the most,
Right.
which is
Vocal.
a big problem. Yeah. We need some more calmer, cooler heads to get into the conversation.
Can I throw something in there too, just to tie it back to our earlier topic? For me, being somebody who is really empathic, I've found myself within this, with this conversation we're having now, actually not feeling like I can talk to people because I'm so concerned that something I might not realize is offensive out of sheer ignorance, because I don't know how everyone lives. And I try to be compassionate, but yet that fear of upsetting someone has made me go like with my world.
And that is the biggest threat and the biggest problem. You start to
Exactly.
self-censor.
Yep.
We can't have that, because your voice, specifically you, Kate Hughes, needs to be big, loud, and people need to hear it, because you got a lot to say and it's really important.
Thank you.
Yeah, so like that self-censorship, that's what scares me the most. It's because the people that self-censor are the calm, cool, and collected heads that question things.
And they don't want to hurt anyone, that don't want to ostracize anyone, that don't ever want to make anyone feel bad. But, anytime realistically, if we're calling out some kind of injustice, it's going to offend someone, or
Yeah.
just having an opinion or a life experience is going to rub up against somebody else's life experience. And that,
Yep.
yeah, it really, in kids, I mean, my kiddos, my oldest is 25, my youngest is 11. And the difference between the way the 25-year-olds are to the way these 11-year-olds are, it's like I can't be parenting these two different generations. It's just one person. The resiliency that comes with having people having different opinions and being able to respect one another and respect their life rather than censoring it, that the resiliency part, they're really missing, right? It's like a whole other layer I see happening. It's like we don't know how to disagree. We don't know how to respect one another's stuff because we just want to make it vanilla. So
Yeah.
it's fine for everybody.
You're totally right. And every time we do disagree or I get offended, I crumple and I just like fall into a ball, and now the whole world is against me. And yeah,
Or the other
the
person's just a
resilience part.
giant asshole. And
Yeah,
that's
and that's
right.
true. And there will always be those people. So the resilience is key. And the only way to gain that is to expose yourself to dissenting opinions, to have debates, to have arguments, to have confrontations in a healthy, safe way.
Yeah, because that's how we all grow and expand our horizons.
It's the
If
human
we don't get the information from other people who have lived differently than us, how are we going to ever expand our thoughts or grow as people? I don't know. Anyway, I'm muting myself because now I'm on a soapbox.
No, you're
That's the
good.
beauty. Before you go, Brandon, because I know you got to run. That's the beauty of understanding the nervous system and development, though, too, right? Like those first 7 years are so crucial of like the brain theta that takes place with children and helping the children be incredible for who they are. Then like that next phase, the kids start to like notice all the differences that are around them and they pay attention to them, and like there's so much strength that can be built into kids at that place when you understand those things and you talk to them, and versus the trying to shut it down and make everyone feel safe. I don't know. I like your soapbox, Kate. I want to talk on YouTube with you.
Good soapbox. Apparently now I have to fix my desk because it's broken and I have to get it up. So I gotta run. But thanks for being here. Kate, so good to see you. Sandra,
good
thanks
to
for
see
showing
you.
up. Joe, always. Love the do. Karenzo, great to see you. See you guys soon, okay? All right. Bye, guys.